Welcome to Tolu's Corner, a lifestyle podcast that is dedicated to addressing life challenges faced by young adults. And I welcome you once again to a new season of my podcast, season 2. I'm sorry I had to stay away for some time, and I'm glad I'm back. It's all worth the wait. This is the first episode of a series that I'm starting called Backstage Success. Now, what do I mean by backstage success? The world has created a certain ideal, a certain outlook for what success should look like, and that is being famous and rich, basically. And a lot of young adults are tailoring all of their efforts into this direction. Yeah, it worked for some, but it has been draining and frustrating for a whole lot of others, as everyone is trying to fit certain societal modes. Everyone wants to be a doctor, everybody wants to be a lawyer, everybody wants to be a music, everybody's singing and the likes. When actually we don't necessarily have to do something that is that popular or on the big screen or be right on the racetrack or on the front line to become successful and excel and live comfortably in life. You know, instead of everybody saying, okay, we want to sing, there should be people that should set that, okay, I want to write lyrics, I want to manage it, I want to be a talent manager, I want to manage some other things. Okay, everyone is painting, so paintings are sold for big money and I can't paint, so why can't I? And I love art. Why, instead of trying to fit that mold, why can't I be a professional framer or someone that packages art? You get something that is still in line but not as popular as society has placed it to be. So the list is on, and basically the motive of this episode is to bring this backyard winning schemes to Gen Z's consciousness. I want young adults to know that there are other forms of being successful, and that's why I'll be interviewing. It's not really an interview. I've been having discussions, chit-chat with people that are successful behind the scenes. And trust me, every guest I have on this series are tailored to suit our interests. So don't listen to this series absent-mindedly. Be prepared to get something. Stay tuned. I'll be right back after this. Talking about something that is not really talked about, as opposed to everyone being in front of the television, being on the central stage with all the lights and cameras. We'll be discussing backstage success, that is winning behind the scenes. And on the show with me today, I'm honored to have an amazing personality join me for this conversation. I've watched him speak. I've seen all of his amazing achievements. And I'm certain without doubt that this is the kind of content I want my audience to have. He's the country manager at Viacom CBS Network Africa. He's a man that is passionate about learning, leading, family business, society, media, music, sports, and fitness. I'm privileged to have with me on the show today, Dr. Bada Akintunde-Johnson. Thank you, sir, for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm happy, sir. Sir, can you tell us a little about yourself? We'd like to know you, sir.
Okay. So, as you know, my name is Bada Akintunde-Johnson. I work in media, music, and in sport. I lead an organization called Viacom CBS Networks Africa in Nigeria. For about 20 years now, I've worked in the media and marketing communication spaces. I've worked in advertising as a creative copywriter as well, rose to become creative director, worked on pretty interesting campaigns, memorable campaigns, if I may say, for brands such as Guinness and Globacom. And then came back to the media, core media, to work for High TV, which was Nigeria's biggest pay TV investment in a very long time. I was creative director for the platform for about 3 years. Worked with agencies such as S1U, Saatchi and Saatchi, worked at Center Spread, Fute, Kone, and Belding. I also worked for TBW Concept. Also worked as a presenter and a producer. That's why I started actually on TV. And I still lend my voice to football topics on different platforms. I'm a football pundit or analyst, as some call it, on radio programs, TV programs, web, wherever football is talked about. I love football passionately. I follow football all my life. So I'm always going to be within the football and sports spaces. I'm, as you said, very passionate about learning, about teaching, about transfer knowledge, bridging the knowledge gap, the transfer of knowledge and building the knowledge gap. I'm passionate about human capital development. So I spend quite a bit of time also teaching, mentoring, coaching. I'm a mentor with the United States Department of the U.S. Department of State initiative called Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. I'm a mentor and a facilitator. I like to teach. I like to mentor young people, especially in business, along the lines of their passion. If it's music, particularly, or sport, I like to help them to get on the right path, learn the right habits, learn the right mindsets to succeed, and just be there to guide. So that's me in a nutshell. Other than that, family, married, and I'm a very grateful and a happy human being.
Wow, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So on the show today, we'll be discussing backstage success. That is the success that is attained behind the scene. So, sir, before we start, I want to know what prompted your line of work? How did it all start for you?
Well, I think it started from knowing that I enjoyed watching TV, generally watching people bring joy to other people, and I wanted to be that at some point. And so, in secondary school, I think was the first time I sort of assumed that kind of role. I was reading sport news on the assembly ground, and it just happened that I was one of the few persons who really knew about football. As a matter of fact, I can't remember anyone in my school being more knowledgeable about football. Anything football, people came to me because I bought all the football magazines, all the football newspapers. I invested my time in reading them, and I just naturally knew much more than the average person on this matter. So music as well. I was a church singer, sang as a soloist in a big Anglican church, was in the choir for so long, started learning to play musical instruments. I was lead vocalist and praise and worship leader in my home church. So I followed football and music very passionately, and I wanted to work in the media along these lines. So I made up my mind that I was going to study something that would help me, a course that would help me end up in the media. So I decided I would study mass communication. So I guess that's where it all started. And then I did professional music for a bit, and then went to school, went to University of Ibadan. University of Ibadan, studied communication and language arts. My interest, to be honest, in those 4 years were mainly broadcasting, advertising courses. So it was no surprise that when I graduated, my first job was in advertising, my second job was in media, and all the jobs I've done since then have been in media or advertising. So that's how it started.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. So, sir, on this journey, what are the challenges that you've encountered? Basically, what didn't work for you?
Well, I think fundamentally, the biggest challenge that every Nigerian kid faces is the dysfunctional educational system. So I wish that there were better teachers. I wish that we had access to computers, we had more books, we had more incentive to study and to know. So a lot of us who sort of ended up in places where we wanted to be, we are some of the few privileged ones there's a lot more people who fell by the wayside just because of the dysfunctionality of the system. Had the system been more sound, more solid, more robust to cater to us along our different unique need points, we would have more people even doing better than me. It pains my heart to look around the media space, and in a class of my graduating class, I think we're over 100 people. I can't point to up to 5 who are working in the line of what they studied. Majority are working, in different other places, pushed by the reality of the country. No jobs in the right places. So people became business owners when they really and truly wanted to be engaged in the line of what they studied. So those were the challenges. We had to self-develop a lot. We had to literally teach ourselves a lot of stuff, which shouldn't be. So that's a challenge, which unfortunately many people didn't rise above. And it's what stalled their ambition. It's what derailed the original plan. So yeah, that was the number one frustration. Thankfully, found a way around it, and we are still finding ways around it. We're still learning. We're still, going to school, trying to cover some of the gaps, right? And to bring ourselves to be at par with our colleagues in different parts of the world, or our counterparts or contemporaries in other parts of the world. And of course, there are environmental or challenges that are just native to us. Access to the internet, for instance. The rest of the world had connected when we were still on a personal level, when we were still going to cyber cafes. I remember writing my project and spending nights upon nights in the cyber cafe because I needed access to the internet. It was painful. It was very limiting, but you had to do it. So, and even now, access to the internet is still a big impediment. And where people have access, they just don't have money to buy data. So the economy is a big constraint. And there's a reason why a lot of kids who should focus on their education are selling one thing or the other just to try to make ends meet. So those are the big challenges that were not peculiar to me or unique to me. Unfortunately, challenges that are still dashing many hopes and killing many dreams till tomorrow in Nigeria. And our responsibility really is to continue to do what we can do on an individual level as groups to alleviate some of these problems and to provide alternative path to the younger ones so that life doesn't have to be that difficult for them.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, you said you found a way around it. So what are the things that you did that gave you an edge, that gave you the advantage? What are the things that worked for you?
I think the number one thing that worked for me really is knowledge acquisition. I've always been passionate about reading. I've always been passionate about the things that I love. So when I talk to young people, I say to them, what do you enjoy to do? What's your natural area of interest? If you are able to find a career within that space, you will do well because you have a natural liking, interest in the thing already. So you can never do too much of it. If you like to play football, for instance, now, and you find yourself playing football professionally or working as a football agent or a football or a sports management person or working as a football administrator or a sport administrator, these are, money-making opportunities within the same interest. You would not struggle. If you like music, you are a music talent manager, or you are an A&R person, or you work in a record company, or you work as a show promoter, you are always around musicians and stuff, you will thrive because that's what you like, So do not go and find a job in oil and gas if what you really care about is music just because you want to make money, because you are not going to go far. The people who naturally like oil and gas will do better than you because, they will be like fish in water. It's their natural space. It's their natural habitat. You will be playing catch up, So I think that's one thing that worked for me. I acquired knowledge aggressively in the areas of my interest. I read a lot of books about football and music. I was in the football academy, Pepsi Football Academy for too many years, for instance, just learning how to play football the right way. I was in the choir for so many years. I became, a leader of my own choir. I started an interdenominational music group, started an a cappella group of my own, started teaching music, went to music schools, so all those things built me up, especially again in the area of leadership, so everywhere I went, even playing football, playing sports in school, I was, captain of my class, class rep, all of those sort of leadership roles and responsibilities sort of built me up. I was part leader, I was, choir secretary, I just always found myself or put myself forward for leadership roles and being responsible for other people and organizing people, organizing resources, making things happen, picking up soft skills, how to relate to people, how to, lead a group, how to handle and navigate group dynamics. All of those things became second nature. So growing into a business leader, a leader wasn't an overnight thing. It's something that took years of preparation and years of knowledge acquisition. And like I said, it's a process that is continuing. As I speak to you, I'm doing an MBA in the only dedicated leadership, creative leadership school in the world, and it's called the Berlin School of Creative Leadership.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what it did. I think the difference maker for me was just prioritizing knowledge acquisition, reading books, listening to people, watching documentaries, just learning, opening myself up to learning all the time.
Wow. Thank you, sir. So you said it took, after investing all of this time and resource into becoming who you are, how long exactly did it take you to get the recognition that you deserve in the industry?
So there's a book I like so much. I read it twice and I recommend it to all young people out there. It's called The Outlier. It's by a man called Malcolm Gladwell. Outliers. Outliers is a book that is transformative, and if you read chapter 2, I think it speaks about the 10,000 hour rule. What that rule means is that for you to become an expert at anything, you have to spend on an average 10,000 hours training, preparing, reading, and practicing it. That's after you spend 10,000 hours that you have a chance to become an expert. And nobody celebrates you until you become some sort of authority or expert at what you do. So you need to put in 10,000 hours. And you can look through all the examples Malcolm Gladwell referenced in his book. It's the same story. Bill Gates, so many years spent in the computer room in a university, programming, coding, when his peers were out there doing all manner of other things that didn't add value to their lives. So many great people, even, footballers, for instance, they would have been enrolled in the academy from like age 4 and 5. By the time they turn pro, they've already done 10,000 hours playing, practicing, and playing friendly matches and junior competitions. So musicians as well, the Beatles, they became great on the back of playing so many hours together in Hamburg, Germany, where nobody was watching. But, we're putting in on an average per performance 8 hours, which would have been against labor laws in the UK where they originally were from. But it was those hours that they spent together performing that built them into arguably the greatest band in history. So you can't cheat this thing. It's a process. So, and I know that Gen Z people, younger millennials are by nature very impatient. They want good stuff and they want it now. But life is a process. Life is a process. And if you understand the principle that drives the process, then you have a higher chance of succeeding. So become an expert. How long did it take me? So many years, so many years. I remember the very first set of football magazines and newspapers I bought were in the early 90s, and I did not start earning from my knowledge of football until 2006. The first time anybody paid me anything for football knowledge was 2006. So if you take it from, let's say I started investing my time and money in 1992. How many years is that? You know, so yeah, so you have to be patient. you have to be patient. Patience is key. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you're an all-rounder. You're a country manager, a doctor of philosophy, a businessman. You're into fitness, sports, music, media. You value family, society. How are you merging all of this?
My definition of success in life is not restricted to one area. I believe that any human being who must live, quite, should I say, a successful life, quite admirably, a life of admiration, or a life that, other people can emulate. And they've got to succeed in more than one area. What do I mean by that? You can't be a genius at work and be a failure in family or in relationships, because there are different aspects to a man's life or a person's life. You can't be a success. Let's say you are a computer genius, but your health is failing you because you are not eating right or you are not exercising. Then you haven't succeeded, because one day you're just going to fall sick. You won't be able to do what it is that you love to do. And God forbid that ailment, is a serious one. You may never be able to do what it is that you love to do. So for me, it's like, how do we grade success in secondary school or in schools generally? You can, if you score 100 in one subject and you score 20, 10, 15 in the rest, you won't be allowed to go to the next class. You can't. So being excellent in one area is never good enough. You've got to find a way to first be excellence driven and excellence minded. Excellence has to be a lifestyle. It's not something that you switch on at some point and you switch off at some point. Your outlook, general outlook to life, the way you live your life, has got to be excellence all through. You have to look after yourself, your health, your nutrition. You have to exercise. You have to look good. Present yourself in a decent and clean manner. The clothes you wear must be, clean and well tailored, and you must wear them well. And then how you speak to people, how you relate to people. You must understand relationships. You must do that excellently as well. Your job, you must be an excellent professional, excellent and competent professional at what you do. So for me, across all areas of life, that's the spirit. So people may say, oh, you're an all-rounder, but it's not about, being an all-rounder. It's actually being about, living my values consistently across all areas of my life. I believe in excellence, and I believe in whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So I just try to do everything that I do. I just try to do them well. That's it.
Thank you, sir. So quickly, sir, what has the journey so far taught you?
It has taught me that there are no limits to the human. Whatever we decide is the extent to which we want to go, usually is how far we go. So as they say, if you think you can, you are right. If you also think you can't, you're also right. So those who decide to shoot for the roof, they achieve the roof. Those who shoot for the stars, they get as far as the stars. Those who shoot for the clouds, they stop at the clouds. Those who, shoot beyond the stars also will find a way to go beyond the clouds. So when scripture says, as a man thinks, so is he, there's nothing more true. There's no limit to the human. You just have to open up your mind, conceive, the ideas, conceive, have the dreams, and then set about achieving them. And you can go as far as you want to in life. It's that simple, really. And it's about not making excuses. It's about not accepting mediocrity, not being constrained by your environment. It's easy to say, oh, well, Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. If I was abroad, but you are not abroad, you are in Nigeria. So make the most of of what you have, and people just generally want the most ideal of circumstances for them to do stuff. You don't need everything. You only need some things in place, So what life has taught me really is that I can be whoever I want to be, really. If I work hard at it, if I count, as the Bible says, how many of you will build a house without first counting the cost? So if you count the cost, if you plan, if you put a solid plan in place and you go about it with what is required, you would achieve it. Simple as that.
So, this has been so insightful. Lastly, sir, what advice do you have for young adults that are just finding their balance and taking the first step towards following their passion? What advice will you have for them? Like the things you did in your younger self that you want us to do that would be very, very helpful. So what advice do you have for us, sir?
You see, when we say be competent at something, be an expert at something, that's not all there is to life. If you've ever seen a university certificate before, they will say, oh, they are awarding the bachelor's degree in something, haven't been found worthy, both in character and in learning. There's a reason why character comes before learning. We go to school for learning primarily, but the school and education should build character in us first. And I see a lot of young people out there who are horrible human beings, who are badly behaved, and they think that it's enough that they are good looking or it's enough that they know their stuff. It's not enough. You have to build yourself to become a proper human being, to become a human being that other people want to be around, a human being that other people want to emulate. And that's not saying, oh, be anybody's role model. But if you live your life right, it's only natural, it's automatic. The results that you produce will be attractive to other people and they want to follow your path. It's not anything that you have to actively go and be recruiting people to come and be, to make you their role model. It's just what happens naturally, happens automatically. So yes, know your stuff, be as good as anyone else anywhere in the world at whatever it is that you do. But it's equally important that you are a human being that people want to be around. You are not a nasty human being, a disrespectful human being, a human being who doesn't have respect for authority, for processes, for people. And these are the things that we see these days. Young people just being unruly, thinking that it is cool to not have manners, all of those things will restrict you. All of those things will limit you. All of those things will put a lead on how far you can go, or put a sort of restriction in the way, or a cap on how far you can go. So for me, my advice would be a winner, both in character and in learning. Learn values, learn morals, learn skills, but above all, learn to be an addition, a credit to humanity, not someone that people want to forget as quickly as they can.
Wow. Once again, I'm honored and privileged to have you on today's show, sir. God bless you. From the show, today's show has been very, very insightful, filled with words of wisdom. I've learned that we should do what you love. If you do what you love, you will thrive. Study aggressively. You can't see the process. You have to invest that 10,000 hours. As a young adult, you have to be impatient. Success as to be successful, you don't have to be successful in just one area. You have to have that work-life balance work with family, be a good person, build yourself to be a proper human being, be respectful, have character. So this episode has been so amazing. It's a point in the right direction for young adults, and I'm very honored to have you on, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, and well done for the good work that you're doing. Please keep shining the light. The world needs more young people like you.
Thank you, sir. I'm very honored. Thank you all for listening to today's episode. Till next time, stay productive.